What's going on, y'all? It is, man, what is today? March 22nd. This month is flying by, man. April's around the corner. First quarter about to close out. We're going to talk a lot about it this come Sunday. But let's knock out these charts, bro. It's been an interesting day. A lot of news developments today. We got Mike with us tonight. Appreciate you coming through, bro.
No problem, no problem. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day.
For sure, man. It's been, I made a little money myself, so it's not a bad day at all.
Oh, that's what happened today. I was wondering. I forgot it was rate day. They went up 1/4%.
Yep.
Well, all right. So let's hop into this then, I guess. I mean, you guys can see my Forex factory, right?
For sure.
So as we see, we went up 1/4%, where last time rates went up from 4.5 to 4.75, and they expected to be a quarter. It was a quarter, and now we're at 5. All right, here's the problem with this. These rates going up are supposed to be combating inflation, correct? The higher the rates go, people go get less borrowing, less spending is happening apparently, and then inflation comes down, right? So I don't know if anybody saw this, but the banks ended up getting bailout money, and they got the tune of $300 billion after, what was it, like $2 trillion has been erased off of the balance sheets.
Yep.
It increased 300 billion in 1 week. All right, so what does this mean? This is the bad stuff. As we saw with inflation and the erasing of the 2 trillion in balance sheet money, which all they did is just, tighten up the nuts and bolts, etc., make it harder for money to continue to circulate, etc. Unemployment still very low, like they're not adding anything, of course, to unemployment, because unemployment is doing well. It's starting to go up a little bit, but it's been great for the most part. No stimmies, no nothing, but yet we're all paying out of our pocket a lot more money for whatever it may be, any type of goods or services. So we're paying a lot of any of these outstanding debts. We're paying it. 2 trillion gets erased off, and yet we're still at a very, very high inflation rate, highest it's been still in over 40 years. So that's where over the past year and almost a year and a half, we've been increasing by about half of a percent, 50 basis points, and then it got into 75. Then it tailed off at 1/4 point at the end of the year.
It's been a fun ride. Hey, it was good.
So, yeah, and that though was it was a tactic. By lowering 1/4% in the eyes of the public, it seems like things are getting better. So what happened? We had a boost in home purchases, et cetera, home loans, et cetera, because real estate agents left and right are using the excuse of there is no supply, there's no inventory to go against the demand still. Even though houses are on the market for 100+ days, sellers are giving into a lot of shit. And the banks are making it a lot harder for homes to even be sold. Inspections, appraisals, this, that, and the other. Where if you guys think in COVID, it was willy-nilly, everybody throw it to the wind and just get your money and leave your house and sell it and give somebody a high mortgage. So it's a lot harder now at this point. Which is the whole tightening of those nuts and bolts. So as these rates go up, of course, as we stated, the inflation is supposed to come down. So rates have gone up, 2 trillion off of the books. Inflation should be coming down, and it's not. And then they turn around and add $300 billion to the balance sheet after this money has been erased. So if people thought that it was bad, here comes the worst part. In fact, it's not the worst part, it's the beginning of the worst. Now that there's been 300 billion added to the balance sheet, that means inflation is going to continue to go up. And all they did was a quarter of a point today. Hopefully, I think what they're thinking is that people are going to rush to go get a mortgage or get a refinance or something like that, even though it went up only a quarter of a percent. That's the thing; it went up. Period. So these are just like base rates. These aren't even your rate that you're going to get when they take into your income, your credit score, this, that, and the other, your location. So yeah, the people's interest rates, and this actually means that anybody that has a variable interest rate credit card, which majority of all of us do, because in unsecured credit cards are usually variable, we're going to go up a quarter of a percent. Everybody's credit cards. So you're going to be paying more back to these guys, to these banks. They're going to make their profit. So is this a good thing? It's a step closer to actually to breaking the system, which needs to be broken. Now let's translate this over to charts. So right now it looks like we're in a transitionary period where it's kind of back and forth. It's supply and demand. It's supply and demand when we're not talking about interest rates, but when interest rates come in and inflation is also part of the topic, we're looking at devaluing the dollar. So, you know, like it's weird. It's kind of back and forth. If rates come in, it's a rate topic or an inflation topic, you're going to see some interesting movement for the time being. To me, the if I look at the 1 hour, when this news came out, this should have been blue, but it didn't. It came out red. I would be curious as to why, because it met the quarter of a percent that was expected. Supply is going to actually be a little harder to get because now rates are up. So that should be pushing the US dollar up, but instead it pushed it down. My only thing that when it comes to something like that, I blame the charts all day when I say it has to come down, right? And what do I mean by it has to come down? Over the past month and a half, we saw a little bit of a pullback, although prior to that, for a good 3 months, we saw a bearish channel being made. It pushed up, and then we saw a bullish channel being made, right? So these are kind of, even though they're opposite, they're kind of one and the same because they have the same effect. It's just opposite, right? So when we see John Morant came back, I guess. All right, well, that's a good heads up. When we see the bearish move, the bearish impulse move, and then we see that bearish channel, this is a falling wedge. Out of the falling wedge comes into a rising wedge. Now, with the wedges, one rule to go by is when you see the wedge and it breaks to the opposite side, it's going to go at least 50% of the impulse move. Well, it broke the rising wedge first, and we are in the 50% realm. We're about to hit that 50%, right? So when you just measure the impulse move, we should be coming down into this general area, which is why I had this ever since this thing was being created, right? So I am looking for the bearish moves. I think if we were talking about it, I think I was on last week as well, where we saw the push up, and that push up was the retest, which Zay and I wanted, and then it started coming back down again, right? So we're looking for this overall 50% retest of this impulse move. But what hadn't been made yet, 50% of the bearish impulse move that led to this. Now, I still have this coming all the way up. And the reason being is because when I go to a weekly time frame, all we're retesting is a massive bullish flag, right? Bullish flag. It broke, came all the way up, came down to retest, pulls back. Now, yes, we still could see this come down because there's a lot of sell side liquidity down here. But when you're looking at patterns, you're looking for retests. If there's no retest, there's no trade. And this is the retest after, this is the second touch after it originally retested back in January, right? So what I would expect throughout the rest of this week is that we're probably going to see some bullish momentum for the DXY. If I'm looking at a higher time frame in this case, I want to see the wick create on the weekly. Then we might see this play around off of the weekly into just this area to continue pushing down so it goes oversold, right? But meanwhile, it just stays stagnant up in this area for it to continue coming up. And when I see this coming up, your overall impulse move on the higher time frame is right here. Oh, other way around. There we go. So we're looking for this price to get hit here, which also would possibly fill this last, which is funny, fair value gap, right? This red box over this large bearish candle here, that needs to be filled. And that's right pretty much at your 50%. Now, as times will tell us when this happens, what type of situation we're going to be in. Either A, inflation is going to go up so much that, yes, we start looking at the 119, 120 area on the DXY. Because as I zoom out, we see, well, when it loads, this was the last price before it hits like up to 160. I wish this would load a little quicker. There it goes. But this is the ultimate resistance up here right now. Since August of 01, again, April of 02, right? Before it started heavily dropping. So I want to see this at least retest this price. If it breaks, God help us. If it breaks and it goes all the way up, we have nothing but opportunity to go up. So much buy side liquidity up here, it's not even funny. There's price gaps that are up here that need to be filled. Why do I say God help us? Because if you guys think that the dollar has gone up a lot over the past year, and the heartbreak that you've had paying at your pump, at your grocery store, at your retail stores, whatever vacations you're taking, guess what? Those things are going to get cut off, because the higher this goes, the more it's going to hurt us, because the dollar is strong everywhere outside of the country, but inside of the country, our dollar means nothing. And right now, inflation is what's pushing this up, because it's affecting supply and demand. It's affecting the supply, creating more demand. So if we have nothing but all this buy side liquidity up here, and we're talking about rates needing to go up because inflation is going to go up again, well, guess what? We could be all the way at 160, 165. I don't see that happening. I just want to see the 119 be retested and then calling it a day, but we'll see. You know what I mean? The higher this goes, the more that we're probably going to likely see a possible war or deflation. Deflation is going to need to step in at some point, where they are just going to cut all rates and everything down to 2%. That's the inflation rate that they want. They being the Fed, that's the goal. Now, we can't get down to 2% as long as inflation is going up, which means interest rates are going to continue going up as well to fight it. But the one factor that they haven't hit yet that could really drop inflation and drop it at a dime is layoffs. When layoffs happen, then at that point, inflation has to come down because there's nobody spending money. So then you have deflation taking over, and then it's an immediate drop because the supply and the US dollar is going to be there, but our dollar is then worthless outside of the country. That's the downside to it. So this, if I'm looking at the smaller time frames, just seeing where we're going here for the rest of this week. You look at Thursday, we have unemployment, of course. There's GDP news. That's expected to go up 1/4 point. So we'll see what happens tonight during London session. Let's see, new home sales. Keep your guys' eyes open on this because it's subject to go down. That's consumer confidence for Euro. Watch what happens with odd and their PMI, because when AUD moves, dollar moves opposite of it. Then we got a bunch of news on, looks like London session into New York session on Friday. So it's gonna be a day, let me tell you. But we could see this action. Yeah, we could see this finishing out. We could see this finishing out on the lower time frames with a bunch of activity to reach this price and to reach this price. So all in all, for where it's at, we could see the dollar play around right in here for the next 2 days or so. Now GBP should go up. As long as that 1/4% comes through, GBP should definitely be bullish. But like I said, as it reaches into this area and everything pushes, the DXY down a little further, that just means that something is coming that's going to push it up. So keep your eyes open for it, because this would just end up being a double bottom right now. I mean, look, as we're here, this is funny that we're looking at the 4-hour right now. I'm going to remove everything on here. We are looking at I would always say this is a good thing also when you're looking at consolidation. When you're looking at consolidation, you can always expect about 50% of that consolidation to be retested. That's kind of where we're at right now, right? So what I would expect with this is that as we're getting down to this 2025 realm here, let me throw my horizontal line, settings, coordinates 25. Look, we're already below the 25. So it's already oversold. So when we see it go oversold, it's funny that we're looking at a possible divergent move here. Drop down to the 1 hour. Let's take a look at the 1 hour real quick. Yeah. We already went to the 20 realm between 20 and 25. It's rejecting off of the 20. We could possibly actually see this pull back up a little bit. Here's my path. I would say we'll see it come here, then come back down, and then we're going to end up seeing the big move up. So yeah, it should be these should be, if anything, if we see GU or EU move and spike up, and we are going to end up being bullish on the DXY, that's going to be your sell entry. So just as long as you know where DXY is going, that's what I want to make sure of.
Most definitely. Appreciate it, Mike. Hey, Strash, you want to follow us up with GA, bro? You still?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
My man Strauss, long time no talk, bro.
What up, brother? It's been a minute.
By the way, this is soda. I'm not drinking any beer or anything.
Hey man, you a grown man. You do what you want to do.
Hey, do what you gotta do.
Hey, no, I feel you. I want to be respectful to the community.
Understood.
All right, so I'll kick off with EA. So EA been lovely the past few days. So you got 3 days of straight bullish momentum. Had the engulf right here, followed up with a huge bullish candle. Had that drop back for that 50%, would have been perfect to get in on if you wasn't in on it to begin with. Had another amazing day of action. You had that pullback. So right now I'm thinking we're just gonna have to pull back to the most recent high and continue to push on. Because for now, it's not building a pattern to drop for me. Not a whole lot of momentum, but usually EAGA, usually 3 or 4 a.m., build their patterns and go. GA made new highs all the way across. You finally had some closing above structures. Sunday, we talked about that flag that it was trapped in, shot up out of that, went to the top side, made that new high. As far as dropping to the downside, it's no momentum yet, but now it's starting to stall out. So that's my only caution right now. Could be just stalling out to build a double bottom on structure. But if it breaks through that double bottom, then we're looking at sales possible. But besides that, EA gonna move when it want. I usually like catching it off patterns.
You got EA for a buy from 50%.
Yeah, I mean, if you could have got the 50% today, that would have been perfect. When they dropped back to structure right here, that would have been money. But if you didn't catch that, just wait on the next opportunity. Did catch that gold action today though. That was nice.
Gold was quite lovely.
Yeah, man.
You're more than welcome to pull it up. You're welcome.
Let's see.
I don't know if Tay gonna be joining us.
Get in there. Tell you exactly what my entry was.
Got a little double top action at the stack line.
All right, so my entry was at 1946.33. So I was in like literally at the bottom of this retest. So you finally had that break of structure, came back, got in off the retest down here, and I literally was just trading to the next level, which is right up here at the bottom of that head and shoulders. I had 1970 as the exit point, and it hit that shit within an hour, and I was out of there.
That's what's up.
So there wasn't nothing bad about that.
Nice.
Nice risk to reward, quick and easy trade. But now with that double top, look like we coming back down. At least check this structure right here.
Yeah. That's what I'm interested in, man. And especially with everything going on fundamentally, I expect gold to continue momentum topside. So
yeah. Looking good though.
Nice bullish trend.
Yeah, I mean, perfect retest, came back down the structure right here. Smack that up. Perfect resistance of that level. See if we can continue on. Be
Most
nice to
def,
keep retesting on the way up.
How's UJ looking? Guess it should be pretty bearish. DXY is going down.
Boy, I looked at UJ in a minute.
Yeah.
That's Chris bag right there.
Chris, you been eyeballing UJ at all? If yeah, oh yeah, the look.
Just look like continuation to the downside.
Reaching for.
Yeah. Oh, look at this weekly just continuing to drop.
I mean, that's a huge head and shoulder.
Yeah, that's a nice shoulder right there. I would have liked to see more of an evening star, but I mean that momentum is not bad by any means.
Gotcha, Chris.
That nice double top though on the daily.
Yeah.
Kind of looking at silver because I'm keeping my eye on that thing. Silver is ready to start coming down, so
The sheep gold drops.
I think those metal pushes today
Mhm.
were liquidity grabs.
Shit, I got in.
What's it called? Silver just filled as of today. It filled its buy side. Was it the buy side fair value gap from an impulse move that came down? And so that was the last one, and it's still in its weekly channel.
I mean, had some gas last week.
Strauss, do me a favor.
What's up, Bob?
You can take this right off if you want, but go to your indicators. And then type in FVG.
Oh, I got it right here. This?
Yep. That would be it.
Oh yeah, I ain't pay for shit.
Oh, it won't let you use it?
No, you gotta pay for that version. It has so many indicators on there.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you'll see like it's that similar. Well, there you go. Go to the
Oh yeah,
weekly
it's perfect on that.
and write. Oh, hang on. Right there.
Yeah. It's
Build it.
perfect on that. On the daily, it's sitting literally right under that structure.
Yep.
So you had it come up, it's sitting right up under there where it needs to. Had your perfect retest right here. Looking like it's perfectly at 50% of it.
That channel.
Already
channel
having your
is-
rejection on the 4.
That channel is a perfect channel on the weekly. Like it's following it to a T.
Yeah.
So it could go a little bit higher, I guess, because there's a lot of wick action off of the weekly, like right at the last high that it's retesting right now. But yeah.
Well, that 4-hour engulf is nice. If it keep that same momentum and close that way, that'd be perfect.
Well, and once that happens, I've got the next bottom price I got is 1578. Has to go below this low. Here's your zone.
Mm-hmm.
And 1578 lines up with this right here.
You're damn near, yeah.
There's a fair value gap to be filled right there.
How many pips are talking?
A lot.
Let's see.
It's music to my ears.
Yeah. A little shit time. How's silver count?
Bro, a lot of these brokers changed the way that it was. Like it used to be like you could just divide it by 10 and get it kind of like what's it called? Indices. You know, fucking times it by 10, you got 300 points. It's 3,000 pips. But I don't know what some of these brokers have been doing over the past months, a couple months or so.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Bitcoin, and the smallest move is a pip, and you can catch 100,000 pips in no time.
Yeah. I mean, when you're in the right side of Bitcoin, it's a beautiful day.
Yep.
All right. Let me get into these indexes real quick. Not too crazy. They are doing exactly as expected. Fed was talking a bunch of crazy nonsense, started stuttering, started backtracking, and we saw the real result. So everything dropped. Really just expecting this to retrace a little bit back into what's that 32,250 area.
So, Zay, real quick before you go further,
So, yeah,
did you watch Powell's speech?
I caught like the mid to end.
Okay, so was he talking about going harder on interest rates?
Trying not to.
Trying
Yeah.
not to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
they
would
s-
never say he's gonna fuck it up.
Okay. So thinking about like when I was like why this went down when it met whatever it needed to, as far as the 0.25% rates going up, period, right?
Mhm.
The only reason why DXY would have went down with this is because I guess, I mean, thinking about it, trying to is a mixed emotion type phrase where it's like, we're going to try not to, but we have to.
Exactly.
So because we're going to try not to, and knowing that it has to that they have to come up, it's going to push indices down. Trying not to is also going to push the DXY down because they're going to try not to, cause that supply issue. So
Yeah.
that's interesting that they said try not to, because we all know that they're going to have to. So
Yeah, they spend a lot of time in that gray area arena. Maybe we're going to hit 2% at some point. At some point you're gonna get it down 2%. But right now, shit's fucked up. let's be honest.
So that would be why it's because of the speech that happened afterwards. And they moved. It looks like similar ways.
So yeah, on US 30, I'm just looking for us to pull back. Pull back and really want a nice, decent sell off of this. I mean, really well back into the levels. Honestly, we can see 30, 3,500 if you're feeling saucy, but really just right back into 31.4, 31.5. That's cool with me. Nas 100 is going to be interesting, right? So our main area of interest after we do pull back is back below these wicks, right? So back it's about 12,300 with a nice imbalance here. I've been checking for. We did break this channel, so we'll see if we end up back into another bear at all, or if we just start going bullish again from there. We'll see once we reach that point. XPX, I haven't looked at in a while. Just been on the Nas and US 30 trying to go up. But just looking here, I really just want this. I would look for this to go back into probably 39.75. It's really nice. Let's see. So just looking left to get right, we'll get pulled back right back up into there and see about a nice sell. That'll also give us a beautiful head and shoulders pattern. So I'll focus on it. The other thing I'm looking at is oil. So oil, I think, still has some movement coming back in the $74, $75. Yeah, we're looking for that retrace after it broke this channel here. I gave it some little flag situation. It broke pretty heavily. We're gonna look at that retest back in the 75. USD CAD. With that going up, man. You're gonna get I think we're gonna get a drop. Got a lot of wick action here. I think should get filled, and we broke this trend. So we'll see if we can get the drop back in the 36. But honestly, I would prefer this to hold here. Maybe get a little dip because we saw a little to that flag and then continue. Preferably, that'll line up with the DXY. I think making that dip down to go up as well. So that is all I'm tracking. GJ's fallen. Man, I really had high hopes for GJ coming up. But
It'll be interesting to see what it does at that structure that you had up under there.
We could be going to fill that liquidity weight from that doji. What was that on the daily?
which structure are we talking, Sean?
I'm talking this
Coming back.
bottom one that you have that left shoulder sitting on.
Yeah, coming back to 160.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what it does at 160, it'll tell you a lot. But it is some heavy wicks on that time frame. What is that, the daily?
Yeah.
Uh,
So you're talking about, Mike?
Go to the weekly. You had oh there it goes. What's that? The
This one
monthly?
here? Yeah.
well, shit, if you look at it, that's a head and shoulders right there.
That liquidity wick is crazy.
Could be coming back to clean that up. I mean, you do have a lot of structure down there at the 152, 154 range.
Yo, any emojis on here, man? Let's see. Icons, yes. So maybe we can come back. I'd like to get our cross. And we got a lot of GBP news. So I'd like a retracement back up into here to go down.
That's what I was saying. Like if it wants to retrace back up, throw a wick to the upside for the sell.
I'm with that. I'm with that. G has been paying really nicely, so I appreciate you going over that. I really like to see it continue, honestly. We got this triple top here. So we'll keep an eye out. We'll be touching it. If London gets interesting, I'm definitely going to be on for the London session. I can't believe I didn't even take this trade. God, it's not stopping you.
Teacup right there.
I mean,
Right back all the way up.
yeah, London might get the business.
Ain't a bad place to be, especially later in the session.
For sure. Might be some money to be made right here.
Oh, look at that. Your 50% would fill the fair value gap.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to take parts, definitely look to get involved in that one. Cool. Anything else? B, crypto, man. How the Kryptonians looking? You looking? Been eyeballing this bad boys.
Bitcoin is up a grip right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been having a
I
hell
don't
of a
know
week.
how long.
What'd
How
you say?
long, I don't know. It's So how long I don't know how long they gonna go up because of that what was that $2 trillion deal that they put in the market?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what's pushing them up. So that's kind of iffy right now. 'Cause this is not a utility type of market right now at all. This is just people getting scared and they're saying, well, the banks are failing, so I'm gonna put something to Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I'm gonna put something to crypto. This is not like a big run right now. Because I see a retracement happening. Like we come back getting a little weak, possibly come back down.
When you use Ethereum, Zay,
Yeah.
type in ETH/USD and then go to Kraken. There you go. The price resembles more close than Binance and whatnot does. And if you look at current price, if you look to the left,
Mhm.
all the way in that bullish move, what do you see?
The golfing you talking right here?
Scroll
Or the
down
wicks?
just a little bit. Move down. Look at that wick.
Oh, this wick here.
Yeah, we're looking at a bearish flag on Ethereum right now, a bearish pennant. So 650, here we come.
Yeah.
Exhaust that bitch and then drop.
Hey man, sales across the board.